Good morning, pretty lights. Oh, I love these lights during winter. It brightens the place up, which would be a very gloomy place otherwise. But let's get into it. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about women in programming. Yeah, the fact that a man talking about women in programming and the political implications this topic may force upon me is not being lost on me, trust me. So I am going to do my best to walk us through this without pissing anybody off. So let's get into it. Now, there is, you may or may not know this, but there is a lot of political activism, actually an unexpected amount of political activism around different topics in programming. The most common ones are things when it comes to not minority groups, that's a strong word, but the different topics usually revolves around either accessibility and making the web accessible for people with disabilities. And there's also a very big community around trying to get more women into programming. And that's great. I think it's an absolute great thing to do. I've actually, for the most part, on several occasions, actually been part of companies where these initiatives has taken place. Here in Gothenburg, we have Data Tjej, which is an initiative for getting women into programming. And also, when I was a Ticketmaster, they had a few of these meetups, which was directly aimed towards getting women into programming. Now, the thing is, and I've always wondered this a little bit, it's something that's not specific to women in any way. It's something that it's a question, or rather, something I discussed with a few of my students back when I was helping people learn Swedish. Just to give you a little bit of context, when I was studying to become a programmer, I tutored and taught Swedish and English at a local university here, especially towards people who've just arrived, like immigrants who have just arrived here in Sweden, to kind of help them, get into how things worked here and help them with their language studies, basically. And we had open groups discussion, and we talked a lot about immersion and of course racism, even though Sweden is one of the countries in the world, if not the most friendly place in the world when it comes to foreign policies and so forth, or specifically migration policies. There's still, of course, racism exists everywhere. And we had discussions back and forth, and I said to my students that I honestly believe that the biggest compliment anyone, regardless of skin color or gender or political opinion and so forth, the biggest compliment or the highest level of acceptance anyone can achieve is to be equally ignored. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that if not now, I look like a criminal basically, but when I'm in my regular clothes, if I walk into a store, nobody cares. If I go to a job interview, nobody cares. I'm just white noise in general. And racism, per my definition, is when somebody reacts more than that, and not being considered a part of the outgroup of a minority is when nobody cares. Because nobody, generally, in my opinion, very few people care. Like a white man walking down the street, nobody's gonna, give a toss about that. If you're dressed like a gangster or something like that, they might care. Anywho, I think that the same thing is, I believe that the same thing is true for women in programming. Although I think it's great that we have these meetups and these initiatives towards it. I would wonder, wouldn't it feel nicer to just be another person who's interested in programming? Doesn't it feel a little bit, I don't know, almost degrading, like you're not good enough, that you need these initiatives? I'm not saying that we don't need them. I'm saying that I'm sad that we live in a world where women feel that they are so how do I put it? Like that they need this special treatment in order to just do something that anybody can really do. Because trust me, your ability to write code and be efficient and like provide value to the programming community has nothing to do with your gender. It has nothing to do with your skin color. In fact, some of my absolute, like the people I look up to a lot of people, and a few, like there's actually a surprising amount of people or women on that list. I'll give you some of them. So any list of like high profile contributors to the programming world has to involve Ada Lovelace. Now, Ada Lovelace was the original programmer. In fact, quite literally the original programmer. She was, you can go and look her up on Wikipedia. She was the first recorded person to think up the idea of the algorithm. And that is a pretty massive contribution if I do say so myself. And then of course after that we have Grace Hopper, which her small contribution to the Mark I computer, and the fact that she actually thought up the entire idea of compilation, because compilation is such a small thing in our world, right? In the programming world. Yeah. Once again, this is an enormous contribution. I can't even begin to describe how big that contribution is. And then you have, this is going to be an extremely biased list, I'm going to admit. And then we have Rachel Andrew, who in very recent time is the person who gave us CSS Grid, which is something that is pretty much it's available today, and the technology is extremely interesting. And she actually, I read just the other day, she is the editor-in-chief for Smashing magazine. And I don't think that's the whole story, that just because she pushed basically as a single person pushed through CSS Grid, but I think it played a major part. So yeah, another person that completely basically has done more for this thing that I love so much than probably I will ever do, or I can try to. And then we have, is coming on second place, we have Jessica Kerr. Jessica Kerr is a public speaker, or like a programming advocate. She loves functional programming. And I have never ever watched a tech talk, and I watch a lot of tech talks. I've never watched a tech talk where anybody has ever spoken with that much heart. Never seen it. Amazing. Like she has inspired me in so many ways. Like in a lot of these videos that I'm making, I'm just trying to basically get to a fraction of the level of passion that she's speaking with. And I may or may not have a small crush on her as well. And it may or may not have to do with how great she is at public speaking. And finally we have Curious Kiwi. And the last one you probably don't know. So to give you a small context of who Curious Kiwi is, I'll have to take you back to the early days of my programming career, when I started taking distance courses at Harvard. And it was all online. And programming was not something that came easy to me. There was so many times where I felt so overwhelmed. There may or may not have been some tears at some points, but for the most part, we had exercises we needed to complete each week. And whenever I felt that, shit, I can't do this, I should just quit, I always went onto the school forums, started skimming through the thread in hope that somebody would be able to give me some pointers of how to solve this problem. And without fail, Curious Kiwi would have a post somewhere where because all I know about her is that she's a mom, 2 kids, and she lives in Sydney, Australia. That's all I know about her. And basically what happened consistently all the time, was that she would have already solved the problem that I was struggling with so much. And not only solved it, but had the heart. And I don't know, just this amazing person. She would post steps, never giving away the answer, but really well thought out explanations to how to think about the problem. And she saved me. Quite literally, I am pretty sure that I would not be where I am today if she hadn't done that. And in fact, I was so touched and I appreciated what she did so much that when I finally graduated from this little course of mine and above average grades, which felt pretty good, I went on the forums, and I have never done this ever. This is the first and only time I did it. I went on the forums and I created a forum thread called titled Curious Kiwi. And I basically wrote something along the lines of, "Hi Curious Kiwi, you don't know me, but I just want you to know that all the contributions and all the help that you put on these forums has saved me and made it help me become good at this thing that didn't come naturally to me, but that I love so much. And I am so grateful to you for all the help that I have received." And this is not a word of a lie, within 30 minutes of me posting that, the thread got filled up. 15-20 people joined in and thanked this woman, who, just average person who had helped them so much. And what's the happy ending to this story is that she actually saw it herself. She added the last forum post, and she was, well, I didn't see her face, I've never seen her, but she did say that she was brought to tears by it. And I hope she really sucked in all the positive energy that we gave her, because she deserved every bit of it. So to end this little rant of mine about women in programming and so forth, there are always going to be issues, and we're going to have to keep on fighting these battles for equality and so forth. But I would like to say, at least from me to you, that there are a lot of us these things doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what color your skin is or what gender you have. All at least I care about is, do you have a good head, and do you have a good heart? That's it. The rest I don't care about.